Hey guys, Ed over here at FICM Repair. It's been a bit, so I figured I'd post another video. So this video comes to us from Gustavo in Florida, who was asking me, beginning yesterday and a follow-up call again today, asking me about a problem he's having that I know a lot of you guys have had too. And the problem he's having is he's going to put his valve covers back on, and he finds that the bolts are stripped. Now, a couple of things on this front. One, please understand, if you have, and if you don't have it, it's worth buying. Get yourself an M6 by 1.0 tap. Those are the threads in your rocker box. They're aluminum. Your bolts are not made out of aluminum. Who's going to win, steel or aluminum? So the grit in your threads chews up your threads in your rocker box. So grab yourself an M6 by 1.0 tap, chase the threads, clean them out. You'll be amazed at what you all, get out of there. And then, take a little wire wheel or wire brush or something and go ahead and, clean up those threads, and life is super good for you. And that way you don't even have this problem to begin with, and recognize that torque specs matter. Now, in addition to that, please understand that maybe someone before you has been in there, or maybe you didn't know this trick and you over-torqued them and now you come out to a stripped setup. Well, okay. You can, if you want to hate life, you can go ahead and you can helicoil these stripped out bolt holes. That does work. I'm not a fan of helicoil. I don't think it's a great solution, but it does indeed work. So if you wanted to do that, you absolutely could. Alternatively, you could realize that 6 millimeters is 0.236 inches. That sounds a lot like a quarter inches while not being a quarter inches. So what you can do instead is you can go over to your local Ace Hardware, or whatever, Lowe's, Home Depot, or this is boltdepot.com, and you can buy yourself some 1/4 by 28 hex bolts that are, threaded along their entire length, not like these here in the picture, but threaded along their entire length. And it's just ever so slightly, 0.236 sounds a lot like 0.25 to me. It's only very slightly too big, and you don't even have to drill nothing. You just take your 1/4 inch by 28, tap and recreate those threads, and that will work for you. Just remember, the torque specs matter, so don't go crazy on the torque specs, but go ahead and clean out your threads, get some new bolts in there and all that kind of stuff. And if you wanted to, it's like, so Gustavo asked, he's like, well, hey, that's great, but what about those that, that the bolt head continues? Well, you just pick up some threaded rod, right? And if your local hardware store doesn't have threaded rod, but they do have hex bolts that are threaded all the way to the end, just get yourself a really long hex bolt and just cut the head off, and now you've got a threaded rod. And you can just take a nut and just spin it off the edge, and it'll clean up the threads as you damaged them. But you pop it in there and life is good. If there's just too much material gone, then I would encourage you to hop on Amazon and buy something that we don't sell. Go ahead and buy a product called time-sert. Time-sert is unbelievable. Gustavo says we can hold his feet to the fire on this. Gustavo says, yep, I will go ahead and I'll record a video showing the time-sert, because actually in his case, somebody had already helicoiled these bolts, and the helicoil came out with the bolt, which is one of the very many reasons I'm not a fan of helicoils. time-sert's product, I know it's more money. Oh my goodness, is it more money? It is so worth it. Buy the little master kit and don't look back. Helicoil, eat your heart out. This is just a superior product. Now, it comes at a superior price point, don't misunderstand, but it is awesome, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper than rocker boxes. All right? FICMRepair.com. We're all in this together. Oh, one more thing. Sorry. So we're talking about Gustavo a little bit about torque specifications, and we realized, hey, what we have here is, whatever the torque spec is, but it's at the very, very low end of most torque wrenches. So what you do is you take your torque spec, if it's measured in foot-pounds, and you just divide that by 12, or multiply it by 12, that becomes inch-pounds. And so now you can use an inch-pound torque wrench to go ahead and do that. So, for example, 12 foot-pounds, 12 times 12 being 144, is 144 inch-pounds, which happens to be right at the dead center of the, ish, in the dead center-ish of the torque spec capabilities of your inch-pound torque wrench. And torque wrenches are most accurate in the middle of their range, and that's what you want to go ahead and do, okay? So torque specs matter, clean threads matter, clean bolts matter, and if you screw up, or somebody before you screwed up, now you've got a solution. I hope this helps you. FICMRepair.com. We're all in this together. Thank you, guys.